The Where Our Minds Wander podcast may contain sensitive content and explicit language. Listener discretion is advised. Greetings, fellow wanderers, to the places our minds wander.
The house at the end of the dirt road, where disembodied voices whisper and strange sounds make the living shiver.
Where shadows lurk at the edge of the woods, just outside your back door. And mysterious lights speed beyond reason across the clear night sky.
Odd events throughout time that lead you down the rabbit hole.
I'm Wes.
And I'm Beth.
And this is Where Our Minds Wander. Hello and welcome to Where Our Minds Wander, all you fellow wanderers. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, everybody.
So for tonight's episode, Beth and I discovered a pretty cool place that has so much to delve into that we decided to split it into halves. So, Beth is going to get us started tonight.
As usual.
Yeah, it's probably getting a little monotonous for people. You always go first.
I don't know why that is. It's just a habit we've gotten into.
I know. We should change it up a bit so they can hear my sweet voice first.
Well, everybody wants to hear your sweet voice, but tonight we planned on me going first. Next week, you can go first.
That sounds pretty fair, I think.
Too bad if it doesn't, because that's the way it is.
All right. She has spoken. Let's get into tonight's episode.
Okay, so a while back, we did an episode on Cahokia, an ancient city in Illinois built by the Mississippian culture. Well, about 300 miles north is another ancient city. Aztlan is believed to be a possible outpost of Cahokia. And at the time, while I was researching Cahokia, I also read about a third site, complete with pyramid structures, which some people strongly believe is also part of this original ancient civilization. Except this intriguing site is 60 feet underwater. So tonight, Wes and I thought we'd take a look at Rock Lake, Wisconsin. And before we get into it, we should probably give a little background just in case you missed episode 47. Basically, Cahokia spanned an area of 6 to 9 square miles, and it included 120 man-made mounds around its borders. Homes, temples, and stages sat on top of some of the mounds. Cahokia still poses some unanswered questions, since the 20 to 30,000 inhabitants didn't seem to have a written language, so there's very little known about them. For example, we don't know exactly how they built their structures or why. Aztlan, which may have been a sister city to Cahokia, is in Wisconsin. It has similar mounds, and experts have found evidence that the people of Aztlan had a very successful trading empire. They abandoned their city sometime in the 14th century, although experts still haven't determined why. The name Aztlan and the word Aztec obviously sound similar, and there's a reason for that. Evidence has been found in Aztlan that points to human sacrifice and cannibalism, two characteristics of Aztec culture. And then there's the princess of Aztlan. Her remains were discovered in one of the mounds. Her skeleton was adorned with clamshell beads traced to the Gulf of Mexico. So, I think it's certainly possible and plausible that the Aztecs did move north, and they established settlements in that area. Rock Lake sits just 3 miles from Aztlan in Jefferson County, Wisconsin. Spanning 1,365 acres, the 60-foot deep lake is roughly shaped like a figure 8. At the southern end of the lake is Bean Lake State Park, a protected marsh area. At the northwestern end is a sandbar that's a pretty popular spot for visitors to anchor their boats and go swimming. But for hundreds of years, there have been stories about Rock Lake, claiming that it was once dry land. The legends say that the Aztecs built a great city, but a long period of drought caused great suffering. In the year 1066, they built many sacrificial pyramids, hoping to connect with their gods so they'd hear their pleas for rain. The gods answered by flooding the plains with sparkling water, which the Aztecs called Tyranina. The much-needed water source was a huge relief, but it all but covered their pyramids. Allegedly, in the 1840s, newly arrived white settlers heard stories about ancient foreigners and great stone teepees from the native people. They could even see the tops of strange formations breaking the surface of Tyranina, or Rock Lake. But their damming of water for their sawmills caused the lake's water level to rise, completely submerging these stone pyramids.
That makes perfect sense that the Native Americans would think of them as stone teepees.
I know.
I would have never thought about that.
I know, it's pretty cool. So, 50 years later, on a day when the lake's usually murky water was more clear than usual, 2 brothers named Claude and Lee Wilson were duck hunting. The water level also just happened to be lower than usual due to a prolonged lack of rain. As they rowed along in their boat, they clearly saw what looked like the top of a man-made stone structure beneath them. As they circled it, one of them even tapped its top with their oar. Word of their discovery spread, and soon dozens of locals flocked to the lake to see if they could see it too. And they did. Several witnesses supposedly claimed to clearly see a 100-foot-long stone tent-like structure. Some of them even dove into the water so they could touch it. Within a week or so, the rain came, causing the silty bottom of the lake to billow up, and the murky water swallowed the pyramid from view. However, it did offer an explanation as to what kept snagging commercial fishermen's nets and local men's fishing lines. In 1936, the town of Lake Mills, which is on Rock Lake's eastern shore, was gearing up for their town centennial. A local author named Victor Taylor decided to compile stories about the Rock Lake pyramids. University swim team members were hired to dive into the lake and report if they saw anything unusual. At least one of them did. He swore that not only was the pyramid there, but it had hieroglyphs carved into it. Many residents were convinced that Aztec pyramids sat beneath their lake. But not Charles E. Brown. Not to be confused with Charlie Brown. Charles E. Brown was the director of the Wisconsin Historical Society Museum. Brown, who was also the founder of the Wisconsin Archaeology Society, scoffed at the whole Aztec connection. He proposed that it was far more likely that the pyramids were built a century earlier by the Finch Gang, a notorious family of horse thieves. As stagecoach robbers and bandits, they'd need places to hide their loot. If the pyramids really did exist, Charles Brown said they were not ancient. The following year, in 1937, Milwaukee native Max Eugene Knoll tried out a newfangled invention in Rock Lake, otherwise known as scuba gear, to prove once and for all if the pyramids truly existed. His verdict? Yes, they did. Or at least a tall, conical-shaped structure was down there that looked man-made to him. In a letter to Victor Taylor, dated October 12, 1937, Knoll wrote, quote, "The pyramid rises up from a 36-foot bottom to its upper base, which is 7 feet from the surface, therefore being 29 feet high. The pyramid is in the form of a truncated cone. Approximate dimensions: diameter upper base 3 feet, diameter bottom 18 feet." End quote. Knoll also concluded that what he observed was only the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. It was his opinion that the pyramid extended beneath the current lake bottom, which makes sense. If it's only 3 feet by 18 feet, it would be the very tippy top of the pyramid.
There's most likely chambers under there.
Right. And the lake bottom had filled up so much that it was covering most of it.
Exactly.
The 1960s brought both supporters and skeptics to the scene, conducting their own dives into the lake. The Milwaukee Public Museum completed a year-long archaeological survey of the lake in 1960. Their team of professional divers found 0 evidence of any man-made structures. They concluded that people were seeing rock deposits left by glaciers and nothing more. But in 1967, a scuba instructor named Jack Kennedy, not JFK, came upon what he thought could only be man-made. He saw a slanted wall of grapefruit-sized rocks with a flat platform. He estimated that the platform was 20 feet long and 40 feet wide. His findings were published in a 1970 issue of Skin Diver magazine. Although he returned to Rock Lake several times, he was unable to locate his find again. 20 years later, a journalist named Frank Joseph came across Kennedy's article. Joseph put together a team that did sonar sweeps across the lake. They received a hit showing 10 man-made structures. When divers went down to investigate, they found a 100-foot-long structure built out of black stone. Joseph has written numerous books on ancient American civilizations. He's also a big Atlantis theorist. So, in his book, The Lost Pyramids of Rock Lake, he made connections between them and Atlantis. In more recent years, additional sonar imagery has shown pyramid structures in Rock Lake. One is as big as 60 by 100 feet wide and 18 feet tall. Few experts today who have studied Rock Lake deny that there are structures beneath the water. However, some mainstream government archaeologists, like Bob Birmingham, argue that there's nothing man-made about them. He called the Aztec pyramid theory a bunch of baloney back in 2015 and says, all of the rock formations people have captured on equipment can be explained by simple geology. Now, I am no geology expert by any stretch, but when I was reading about Rock Lake, it really made me think of Pyramid Lake in Nevada. And the pyramids in that lake are natural. They were formed by tufa rock. So I tried to find if tufa rock exists in Rock Lake, but I couldn't find anything saying that it does or it doesn't. But here's what I don't understand. If the remnants of Aztalan are just 3 miles away, why is it such a hot debate over whether or not there's a lost city beneath this lake? Why are people so against the possibility? It doesn't seem like some earth-shattering possibility to me. I mean, jungles swallow up ruins all the time, so why not water? A former Aztec city could be beneath Rock Lake, and I think the idea of that is pretty cool.
Well, here's the thing. They have found what appears to be many structures below water, in the oceans, in the lakes. Not only just structures, roads. And you always have these scientists that come in and go, oh, no, it's nothing but natural rock formation. But you get these other independent scientists going out looking at these, and they say, well, no, look at it. They take more time, and they actually measure everything out, look at it very well, and you can see that it's man-made. The angles, the precise drilling of holes in some of these structures. So
why is it so hard to believe? I don't understand. I guess we like to...
They have their heads up their butts.
I was going to say, I guess we still like to believe that we are the most advanced civilization to be on the planet, when in fact, that's not true. In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with these stone structures that our ancient ancestors built way back then, they're still around. Like I said before, we don't build anything that won't be swallowed up by time pretty quickly.
Yeah. I mean, look at these abandoned buildings that we see on TV shows all the time. We were watching The World's Abandoned or whatever, the different abandoned sites. And some of them are less than 20 years they've been abandoned. And they're completely destroyed, taken over by vines and trees and crumbling. And you can't even tell what some of them used to be.
Yeah. We don't build anything that lasts anymore.
No.
There'll be no remnants of us at some point in time.
Right.
We'll be a culture that's just skipped over.
But the ancient sites will still be around.
That they will.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, what's even more cool is that pyramids are not the only mysterious thing said to lurk beneath the water there. And we'll get into that after this quick break.
Hey, did you know? Candy canes have been around since the 1800s, when people supposedly hung them from their Christmas trees to keep rodents away, since rodents apparently don't like peppermint. But the world's largest peppermint candy cane would never fit on a tree, since it was 51 feet long. Crafted by pastry chef Alan Roby in Geneva, Illinois in 2012, it took a whopping 900 pounds of sugar to make. But these days, candy canes come in all kinds of flavors, including fruity ones and pastry-flavored ones. But for the more adventurous, There's also mac and cheese, pickle, hot dog, wasabi, and clam, just to name a few. Who'da thunk it?
All right, we're back, and I'm going to tell all you fellow wanderers about something else that is said to lurk beneath the surface of Rock Lake. Rock Lake is also allegedly the home of a serpent, affectionately known as Rocky. It was in 1867 when a man named Harbeck allegedly saw from a distance a large lizard-like creature swimming in the waters of Rock Lake. He had a second encounter as well. This time it was up close. As he was walking along the shore of the lake, with thick water reeds between himself and the water, he claimed a serpent's head rose up out of the reeds, as though he had startled it. The creature hissed at him, and then slunk back down beneath the surface. Other earlier witness accounts corroborated the creature's ability to hiss. Several witnesses apparently said that they spotted something out in the lake that hissed at them as well when they got too close. In the late 1870s, a man named R. Hassman had his own story. He claimed he was walking along the shore with the aid of a walking stick when he noticed what he thought was an enormous log floating in the shallows. As he approached it, he was shocked to see that it was a living creature, and it was huge. In his shock and concern, he stabbed the beast with his walking stick with all of his strength. Hassman reportedly said, quote, "I could no more hold it than I could hold an ox. The beast thrashed around in angry pain, then took off, quickly reaching the center of the lake, where it disappeared out of sight." Now, to me, that sounds like it was quite the encounter, and I'd like to know what happened to Hassman's walking stick. Did he pull it out before Rocky took off, or was it impaled in the creature as it swam off?
Poor thing.
This sounds like something you'd hear on a Seinfeld episode.
Yes, it does.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of Kramer hitting the golf ball into the blowhole of the whale.
Yes.
But this was a cane.
Right.
I can't imagine. The most widely reported encounters with Rocky began in 1882. While most witnesses said it was serpent-like and as long as a boat, at least one witness described it as dog-like. According to an article in the Lake Mill Spike, Ed McKenzie and D.W. Seibert were out enjoying a day on the lake in 1882. They weren't the only ones there. Many other people had the same idea. There were several fellow boaters and picnickers along the shore. The two men decided it would be fun to race each other in their rowboats. Initially, everything was fine, but then one of them noticed a very large log floating directly in their path. They both slowed down and they let their boats drift towards the log. Suddenly, the log twisted, and a powerful neck topped with a small head rose 3 feet out of the water. The creature opened its mouth, revealing razor-sharp teeth, and loudly hissed at them. Before they could react, Rocky dove beneath the surface. The two men sat there dazed in their separate boats. Then, just seconds later, just inches from Mackenzie's boat, Rocky's head and long neck shot up out of the water. Mackenzie immediately began hollering at the people on shore to grab a gun and row out to them. Seibert, who I guess didn't want to wait that long, lifted one of his oars and began swinging at Rocky and smacking the water to try and fend it off. Back on the shore, a man named John Lunn heard Mackenzie yelling for help, and he and some of the other men jumped into another boat and they rowed out as fast as they could. As soon as they were close enough, one of the men, whose name was Wilson, raised a shotgun and aimed it at Rocky, The creature allegedly swiveled its head around and stared at the men as it opened its mouth and let out another terrifying hiss. Rocky plunged beneath the surface. All the men stood perfectly still for several more minutes, fully expecting the creature to rear up out of the water yet another time. Wilson continued to aim his shotgun at the surface, but Rocky didn't reappear.
Well, I don't blame him. I mean, the poor thing has been impaled by a walking stick. It's had shotguns aimed at it. It's had big wooden oars coming down and smacking the water, which could have smacked it in the head. I would take off too.
Yeah, I could see where he'd be quite scared.
I know.
Maybe he just wanted a hug.
Maybe.
In fact, Rocky didn't reappear in Rock Lake for many years. But just a few miles away, a creature began to appear in Red Cedar Lake. Although not quite as deep as Rock Lake, Red Cedar Lake is 500 acres larger. The serpent was way more aggressive, allegedly attacking calves, sheep, and pigs.
'Cause he was pissed off and hungry.
Described as almost 40 feet long, the creature would drag livestock into the shallows and leave their carcasses to rot. One farmer, Willard Ward, lost 5 sheep in a single night. Their partially eaten carcasses were discovered at the shoreline. Another farmer said that he watched in disbelief as a creature as long as 20 feet snatched one of his pigs in its mouth and dragged it underwater. People began to wonder if Rock Lake and Red Cedar Lake were somehow connected by an underwater tunnel. Residents of nearby Lake Rigby were so scared that all 3 lakes might be connected that many of them closed up their summer cottages and left. The monster sightings were reported all over the country, even as far away as Spokane, Washington. In one article that I found from the Spokane Review, dated January 17th, 1892, it talks about an older Native American man recalling an encounter that he witnessed when he was much younger. The article goes on to say that the Native American man pointed the 2 white hunters towards a known beaver den. The hunters took off in their boat and approached the entrance of a cave. As they paddled closer, the Rock Lake serpent came rearing out of the water, flashing its teeth, hissing, and writhing in anger. Strangely enough, in 1892, well, that was the last time that Rocky was seen for a very, very long time. So I'm guessing that perhaps he was tired of pork and lamb.
Yes.
But it wasn't until 1943 when Rocky appeared again. A teenager named Joseph Davis was out on Rock Lake fishing by himself. Strange rippling in the water surface caught his eye, about 20 feet from his boat. As he watched, something broke the surface. The boy estimated that the creature's brownish-black torso was about 7 feet long, but that's all he saw before it dove back down and disappeared. And that's the last time that anyone claimed to see Rocky, the Rock Lake serpent. It's been 80 years.
Huh.
So, I guess we can assume that Rocky is no longer living, or that he was nothing more than a misidentified sturgeon. Now, I wish I could end the story of Rocky with a really good clincher like, except there have never been sturgeon in Rock Lake. But that wouldn't be true, because there are.
Oh.
But who knows? Could there be both ancient pyramids and a lake monster in the same lake? I mean, stranger things have happened.
This is true. I like to think that Rocky is swimming around with pyramids down there. Makes me think of one of those giant fancy aquariums where people put castles and pirate ships and
Right.
right? Only this is Aztec pyramids, and, he's just swimming in and out.
I always find it funny how a lot of these lake monsters are blamed on sturgeon.
It's always sturgeon.
You saw sturgeon.
Yep.
I mean, we get that with our Lake Champlain monster here all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a sturgeon.
Right.
They look quite different.
Yes.
I mean, sturgeon in their own right are scary, creepy little fish. I don't care for them. They got big-ass teeth. They're long. They look prehistoric. But they don't look anything like a lake monster with a long neck that comes up. They don't look like a plesiosaurus.
Right. Or dog-like that one report said that
Right.
Rocky was like.
Exactly. So, when you hear something like that, I mean, our lake monster and Loch Ness and several others always seem to have that long neck that comes up out of the water. And they have the flippers, oval body.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds more like they're related.
Yeah. I still feel bad that he was swimming around the lake with a walking stick, sticking out of him.
That would be quite the sight. Can you imagine seeing something break the surface after this all happened? And you can see a walking stick just look like a periscope, wouldn't it?
Yes.
You could probably grab a hold of it and ride him.
I know. Oh, that would probably hurt him. But yeah, you probably could. I could see people having a ring toss day where they go out on their boats and they try to throw rings onto the walking stick.
Yeah, I could too. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode.
It does. As always, if you'd like to know more about Rock Lake, you can always check our sources in our show notes.
Join us again next week for an all-new episode of Where Our Minds Wander.
See you soon. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to traveling with you again to the places where our minds wander.
If you like what you heard, please take a moment and provide us with a 5-star rating and a comment on your favorite listening platform. It really helps us move up the list and become more visible on the podcast charts so new people can find us.
And thank you all for your continued support.
See you next week for an all-new episode.